Hello, everyone. How are you doing? So we
Hi.
have already 30 people here just starting. Today we're going to talk about the Agile Product Manifesto, and I have here with me two of the co-authors, Alexei and Alex.
Hey, how's
Hi.
it going?
So let's just see, wait a little bit until people can join, and then soon we will start sharing. Saw that there were hundreds of subscriptions on LinkedIn event. Always curious to see how many people will come here. I see Liza from Denmark, if I'm not mistaken, member of Serious Scrum. Just write the comments here, like what do you expect from today, where you are. That will help us also share some examples. And one thing we were just interacting before the session is we want this to be as interactive as possible. We don't want to be just us talking, and then please write down questions here. And as we see time to fit, we will answer them. And by the end, we'll have time also just to address some questions. And yeah, the idea is to give you some hints how you can benefit from the Agile Product Manifesto. Still a baby. I think we put it live not 2 months ago yet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It was the the beginning of June, I think.
It was 1st of June.
Yeah.
1st of June, yeah. It will become 2 months soon. Yeah. All right, we have 32 people here. I think I will just start sharing the screen and then we will go through here. Just to give you an idea what's gonna happen today. We decided to pick some key parts of the manifesto. Why does it exist in the first place? What we believe, some of the values we see, and principles. We won't address everything, but we will share our true experience with that and give you some examples of what you can do in your scenario. And we will be as honest as possible. So not everything is beautiful for us as well. Product world is quite challenging. Any thoughts you want to add, Alexei, Alex, before I jump into the presentation?
No, I'm ready to jump in.
Okay.
I'm a little bit excited. For me, it's the first time for kind of live session, so we'll try my best.
Cool. All right. So here we go. So today we are talking about the Agile Product Manifesto, as you know. And let's start with this question here. Why do we need a product manifesto? A lot of people ask me that. We have an Agile manifesto already. We have a product manifesto from the product school. We have many books about product management. We have many things. And why would we need a manifesto? And I would say, what does it happen in the product world in reality? In reality, what I see, at least in my scenario, is quite frustrating. I see something like output over outcome. See following plans over embracing the unknown and learning from evidence, opinions over evidence. It's quite challenging. This is what I observe. And I started my career as a product person, so to say, more than a decade ago. In the beginning, I just thought I was stupid. I thought I didn't know how to do these things and I was failing and so on. But I didn't know I was failing. I just realized later that the business was not growing. And what did I do? I just pleased stakeholders, I followed plans, and then we didn't create value. And as I changed to different places, from startups to scale up, from Brazil to Germany, I realized I was seeing more or less the same everywhere. And I noticed that product teams are trapped, not only product teams, different teams are trapped. And the idea of having a manifesto is not to solve all of this, it's to provide guidance. Like, what are the ingredients that helps teams create value soon? And if you have this in place, then you can create value. So that is why we created a manifesto. I know we do have many things already, but we wanted something that encourages people to challenge how they work, reflect, and then maybe change. So that was all behind. And we got together like months ago, people from all over the world, like Alex is from the US, Alexei is from Germany, and we have people from Sweden, Netherlands, to get different perspectives. And then we craft something that we believe to be helpful. And we are using and sharing with the others. And if we look at the Agile Manifesto and so on, it was created long ago by developers for developers. And what we try to achieve here is to create something by product people for product people that would help. So that is our goal. And that's why we believe that this could help. And then looking into our manifesto right now, what we see is we believe that all products and service really exist to make the world better. And we've noticed that product, platform, and infrastructure teams struggle to make an impact. And what we want to do is to help them create value sooner. And sometimes, for example, in my case, I noticed that teams don't even realize that their work does not contribute to an impact. For example, when I started my career, I thought that meeting a deadline would be my responsibility, delivering features for stakeholders, matching requirements. I thought that was everything. And I didn't even know it was a problem. And I wish someone would tell me that, or I would find this information. At least I would reflect and challenge if what we were doing would make the world a little better or just please some stakeholders or some plan and so on. That is our belief here. And when we craft this, it was quite interesting, the discussion we had. It was super intense because we wanted to ensure that the manifesto is not only addressing teams in the end of the line, only the ones implementing. We wanted to address the whole picture and helping changing, and not only product teams. We wanted to encourage more teams to challenge how they are working.
Yeah, and I come from like a infrastructure and platform background, and so having worked in like what I consider a traditional IT department and seeing the challenges that are faced in those teams, this product manifesto is intended for really technology delivery, and it's like these principles and these values that we have are intended to help all teams that are providing value. Like if you believe that your group provides value, like this manifesto is for you. So that's why we tried to be inclusive with the language around product, platform, and infrastructure teams.
Yeah, exactly. And now let's just share some ideas here on how you can apply the values we created into your reality. That's the question, right? How can you use the product manifesto? And as I said, that there's no recipe to create value. These are principles, and you have to figure out what works for you. The idea of this, step back and ensure you have the right ingredients. We didn't want to create another framework. We didn't want to create any recipe because simply there's no shortcut to create value. But there are some things that once they are in place, they increase the odds you are gonna deliver value sooner. And that's what we try to put together. And starting here by this one, simplicity over perfection. How many times do you see team discussing things that are unrelated to goals, something that are unrelated to creating value? I don't know about you, but I see that quite often. And I see that sometimes I even contribute to that. Sometimes, depending how I explain to teams what I want to achieve, or maybe I say what I want to deliver instead of what I want to achieve, then we can go into something regarding to perfection. Some years ago, I joined a startup, and we had some internal systems and so on, and the users were created manually. So all the time, a new employee would come in. We need to ask a developer to go to the database and create the new employee. This task would take maybe 3 minutes, something like this. And we had back then 30 people, and we would potentially scale to 200 something in the next 2 years. That was it. If you think next 2 years scaling, not that a big deal to do manually, but it was annoying. We just wanted to have an authentication system. And I told that to the team. We want to have an authentication system for our internal systems. And developers said, yeah, for sure, we can do it. It's cool. And they said, yeah, we can do that just We put in the sprint, and that's it. We will do it. Then by the end of the sprint, I said, yeah, what have we got here? And you know what? And we didn't really finish that. I said, how? No, we were thinking about scalability, and we started implementing with microservices and also non-relational database to ensure that there will be no problems with concurrence and so on. So it will be state-of-the-art technology. And I can tell you, if we grow to 1 million employees, we won't have any problem. And I look at that as why do we need to implement this infrastructure for a system that is used only internally? Because we aim for perfection. Developers wanted to use the best technology ever. It's the CTO encouraged them to do that. And I didn't see this happening. And the way I presented the challenge, they saw as a perfect opportunity to create this. And then later we even created a nickname for this situation, like to remind us of our mistake. Let's not build a bazooka to kill a mosquito. Mosquito in Brazil, you just take your flip-flop and you hit as hard as you can. Don't need a bazooka. Can kill just there. Simple, very simple. Yeah, but we miss the point. And that is what we say about simplicity over perfection. Look at what you are building and ask, what do you want to achieve? What kind of value do you want to deliver? Does it even make sense to do that? So start simple and then learn from the users, and then you improve incrementally. In our case, this story to share with you what happened. We didn't deliver the result in 2 sprints, and then we had to drop all of that, and then we created a quick and dirty solution in 2 days, and that's it. But we had to drop what we were doing because honestly, it made no sense. We tried to do something that technology dictates the needs. That shouldn't be. Now let's go to another one here.
Yeah, I'll take this one. So pursuing goals over executing project plans. So when I think about this, I think back at a previous employer. I'm thinking of 2 projects in particular that we had a project that was an infrastructure project where we were trying to make it a lot quicker and easier to deploy machines internally. And we went through this whole project plan. It was like over a period of months, even into years, I think, to be able to get this thing rolled out. And we executed the project, we delivered the scope, and it actually provided quite a bit of value. Like this was actually something where we actually, the overall objectives of that project were achieved by delivering the scope. Fast forward, we did another project where it was a cloud project where we were trying to make it really easy to do cloud things. And we did all the work, we executed the project came back green, we completed the scope, and no one ended up using it. It was actually, in my opinion, a failure. But from a project execution standpoint, it was completed. In both of these cases, it started with some sort of vague understanding of what the goal was. Like there was almost any initiative that I've been a part of, there is like a vague understanding of the goal and the problem that's being solved. It's that initiation of it that starts it. But then after that, the whole idea about what are we trying to do and what are we trying to hit gets lost amongst the execution. And so what this value really is talking about is, what the overarching, the reason that we're doing all of this is to pursue the goal that was and to understand that goal over a period of time. And so, I've in my career have realized, like, if I don't have a clear understanding of the goal that we're trying to achieve, like that is a red flag for me at this point. Like I need to understand what the goal is that we're trying to achieve to be able to be successful in this. And if we're not doing that, like it's really just it's a gamble whether you're actually going to be providing value at the end of the day. I don't know if anybody else has any examples on this one.
Yeah, I would like to add something. So I have a really actual example. So to understand this, let me explain what I'm doing, what are we doing. So I'm responsible for a product development of a job board network. So it's a network of 30 regional job boards here in Germany. Their companies can put their job ads online, and then they get applications. So it's a simple business model, right? And what we built, so this year we already built a system to import job ad data via XML feeds into our system. So we have it, and we built a connection to free HR tools, which are common in use of our customers currently. But there are a lot of tools out there which our customers use currently. And 1 month ago, we said, okay, we have the free tools connected now, and we want to connect next 2 or 3 HR systems by the end of the year. So it is our plan, just to put more logos on our PowerPoint slides for our sales team, let's call it this way, in order to be able to automatically import job ads into our job boards via XML feeds. So this is the goal. Or that was the plan, or it's still the plan. And the goal behind this is that the job ads of customers get easily on our job boards published, right? So that's the goal behind it. And while talking to a third-party tech provider about completely different topic, nothing to do with job ads, I was integrating with them, and I noticed that they offer a technology which crawls job ads from customers' career pages, put them into XML files. And I just asked, hey, you have all this? Yeah, we do. Okay, and on our side, we already have an XML feed import system. So I saw there is an opportunity to help our customers and our business to solve the problem, or to reach the goal, to easily get the job ads of customers on our job boards. And so this is something I discovered last week, and next week we will deeply evaluate if it's something that using this technology it's really something for us. But what I want to say, so I want to say that we will execute the project plan to connect with 2 or 3 different HR systems. We will do it, but we will also pursue the goal of getting the job ads easily to our platform, and also discover and implement another solutions than we planned. And I just want to say it's valuable to keep your eyes open, to have the goal in mind. And so there's nothing wrong about executing project plans, in my opinion. We will still do this, but it's more valuable to pursue a goal. And this is what I wanted to share here.
Yeah. And Jack actually has a good question in there about outputs versus outcome.
Sure.
Yeah,
it's a quite interesting question, because how to relate to outcome versus output.
Yeah. Sorry, I think it's listening to Alexi just talk about this. Ultimately, we're always going to be providing outputs. So it's not to say like let's not do outputs and let's not manage outputs. Like that's not like the goal, but like ultimately we're delivering things, we're delivering scope or solutions in service of some sort of higher order goal. And so like the outcome that we're trying to deliver is more important than the output or the software that we're delivering.
Yeah. And generally, this is a common question, like, and confusion that comes from stakeholders. Okay, well, what do you mean by outcome and so on? Like, output is what you deliver. So if you take e-commerce, for example, you create there a new feature to share the product. So that is an output. Users can share the product on their network. That's it, output. And what is the outcome? The expectation that some more people will add this product to the cart. That's the expectation. Some more people will end up buying this product. The outcome is the result caused by the output you created. And the problem we say here is many times we talk a lot about output. Let's put a feature to share products in the product detail page, for example. And what for? Because if you don't know what you want to achieve with the feature, anything you put there makes no sense, because you need to know what you want to achieve. Then you can measure if that is contributing or not. The problem is many times the conversation about outcome simply doesn't happen. And that's what we encourage to make it sure it happened. Thanks for asking, Jack. Any of you can just put questions, and as we see here, we will pick them.
Yeah. Okay, what we also phrased in the manifesto that, building up upon the values of the Agile Manifesto, we crafted the principles of the product manifesto to guide product development. And we believe that they will help teams focus on what matters most to thrive. So what do we want to say with this? We want to prevent misunderstandings. We really stand with the 4 values of the Agile Manifesto. So we do not suggest to ignore responding to change over following a plan, or we do not suggest to ignore customer collaboration over contract negotiations. Don't get me wrong, they are very, very good values that we should stick to them in our daily work. But what we recognize that the principles of Agile Manifesto, which has been developed or has been published 20 years ago by developers, for developers mainly, these principles are not helpful for the challenges of product management and product development today, 20 years later. So we suggest for product development teams to find guidance in applying the principles of the Agile Product Manifesto to face the current challenges. And so we focus to phrase more product-driven principles, which are crisp and easy to remember. And how to apply them, apply the principles. Maybe you could go to the next slide. So applying the principles is really not easy. So we all face challenges all the day and every day, and also resistance in our organization. But we also face resistance and challenges with ourselves as product people. That's just normal. So let me give you an example, very honest. I needed 1 month after we finished the Agile Product Manifesto to focus myself on changing some behaviors and also my mindset to match some of the principles which I co-created, because I just recognize, okay, it's really cool, it's really helpful what is standing here, but I recognize I needed 1 month to say, to recognize, it's not everything perfect, and I'm not working perfect, kind of according to all the principles. And applying them, it's not easy. Yeah. So and also to make it clear, in my organization at the moment, we are not following every principle the way how I imagine or how the Agile Product Manifesto suggests we should do. So is it bad? Well, yes. Now I know the Agile Product Manifesto, I stick to it, or I like it, and I want to follow it. So it's bad, yes. But the good thing is I recognized that we have room to improve, and this is great. And so I want you to invite just to step back, maybe reflect, and give it a try to accept that not everything works well, also in your situation currently, and it's okay. So let's go to the first principle. Creating value for end users and businesses is what defines success. For me personally, the most important thing of this principle is the combination of value for end users and value for business. As product people, we are in charge of connecting the dots between these two worlds. And as passionate product people, especially we work with UX designers, right? If we work with UX designers, we tend to think that we only need to focus on end user needs. Let's focus on end user needs, and the business will follow. Yeah, there are examples out there where it may be the case, but I would bet that in most of our situations, for most of us, it's not the case. So we need to take care of our business. We need to understand how the business model, what are the business drivers. And I want to say that creating value only for end users does not necessarily have to generate business value. So if we would do this as a team, we would do an invest of our time without any return. So it would be no return on invest. That's not good. And we are only successful if we manage to solve end user pain points and drive the business with these solutions at the same time. And one example I want to share here is 4 years ago at my former employee, we we built a tool for our marketing department, performance marketing department, to provide custom audience, so list of custom audiences to Facebook. And it was the year where GDPR in Europe has been introduced. So it's a legal paragraphs about privacy in Europe. And what we did is we created a tool where a marketing manager could easily segment users, and then the tool encrypted the email addresses and in a safe way transferred the list to Facebook where it has been decrypted, and custom audiences and lookalike audiences could be used in Facebook for marketing purposes. So from end user's point of view, we solved a lot of problems. It was easier, less failures, it was more efficient. And it also would bring a business value if we would use the tool. But when we finished it and tested and started to use, maybe we used it maybe 1 or 2 times, then we recognize after talking to our legal department that the business risk of lawsuits and fine at those time was higher than the value using the tool. And this is something I did not consider in my decision some weeks earlier or months earlier when we decided to build this. So what we did, we created a tool creating value for end users, but no value for business, or even maybe negative value for business. So for me, it was not a success. We have a tool without use and without business need. And this is something we should prevent and avoid. Yeah, maybe Alex, you want to share something?
Yeah, I love that example, Alexi. So this one, I really like that the focus is on end users and business, because it's kind of just like 2 ways to frame how to think about what we're working on. One of the things I do at Atlassian is I help lead. I'm kind of like the product manager for like a coaching program, and when we're measuring success with that, like you're working with a team, like a software team, for example, and you're helping them upskill and things along those lines. The team having a good experience and actually having capability improvements is are kind of that would be like the end user value. It's like those are important. Like that's like something that we definitely need to have to be able to like continue the work and make the work valuable. But from a business impact standpoint, we also need to have is this having something be fun and like increasing skills is like if you're getting better at knitting and like you are like if we're raining $100 bills on you, you might be happy about it. You might be improving a skill, but is there business value behind that? So understanding what that business value is super important. One thing that I will just kind of like a mental framing that really helped that I've realized recently, a lot of times I get stuck in this idea of framing up business value in what the finance department would understand. And that's not necessarily what we're talking about. So we're not talking about like top line revenue or like cost cutting or anything along those lines or risk reduction. Business value, some of it can be somewhat intuitive. So, or if it's, as long as it's somewhat intuitive, that there is a connection between the value being driven, that can be good enough in and of itself. For example, with these coaching programs, what we're seeking is team effectiveness, and we have team effectiveness defined as team health. Like, are we actually delivering in a sustainable way where it's like life-giving for the teams? Are we seeing good flow of work? Like, is the team delivering in a sustainable fashion where we're seeing the work actually getting delivered and there's not too much work happening at any given time? And are the teams having the customer impact that they are desiring? So there isn't like a revenue dollar, to those 3 ways of like defining team effectiveness, but improving team effectiveness is absolutely a business driver. So when thinking about creating end user value and creating business value, like don't get too hung up on like dollars as much as it is around like understanding what the actual business value of the thing that you're doing is.
Yeah, I love this example because many times stakeholders will ask you, how does that contribute to revenue? How does that contribute to our bottom line? And that's not always the case. As Alex said, the question is, what is in it for business? What can that enable? What can that help the business grow? Sometimes you're increasing, for example, customer engagement. So you are also keeping your customers loyal to your platform. So you need to understand where you are in your product, and it's not only about just making money for the business side as well. And the continuing here, I will take one question to before I answer this one, because it's connected. It came a question here from uh, Varun. I think that's how it's pronounced, your name. How do you manage delivering quality output within the time frame established by senior management? Here I would challenge some things already, because quality output, sometimes when management comes with that, like I say, what is the point in it? What do we want to achieve with that? And that can help us orient our direction to create value, to create outcome. Because the output itself doesn't prove anything. What proves something is delivering value. And looking at this principle here, I will share one story that maybe can help you understand what we believe. Many times we have the goal, we have the direction clear, but that doesn't mean that we are creating value for that. For example, in one of the places here I worked in Germany, when I arrived there, the goal was to, because it is a shop for a young family. So it was a private shop for a young family with 2-3 million customers. And there was a business opportunity there to open this shop for other, to transform that into a marketplace, so that other sellers could sell in the platform. We already had the customer base, 2-3 million people would be interested in selling there. And then we built a marketplace. And that's when I arrived. And the marketplace was already established, but it needed to scale. It proved there was a market for that. There was a business. And now the question was, how could we scale? And this decision was made like enabling more partners to come in, and we could grow the business. The decision was, yeah, we have a problem here because our solution is homemade, so we are not scalable technically. And then we decided to move our queue system to RabbitMQ. And when I arrived, that initiative was running already for a month. And then I stayed there, but I had fresh eyes. And I asked, why does RabbitMQ solve this problem of scalability? I said, yeah, because then we can grow and can receive more products, process more orders, process everything fast and in a stable way. And I learned that actually the bottleneck was not within the amount of orders or products we could process. The bottleneck was how fast we could onboard new sellers. That actually could only happen within the help of a developer. And back then we would do only 2 per sprint. And I realized that the business goal was to have 300 by the end of the year. And I said, how can we do that? The math just doesn't go. 300, and we have 2 per sprint, 2 sprints per month. So it means maximum 4 per month. Even if we double that, that's just not gonna work. And then I asked the team, why is it like that? What we want to create is enable partners to sell with us. And we are not enabling them. We are creating a solution to be scalable. But for whom, if we're not scaling? And that helped us to step back and say, well, we may need to change our queuing solution to be scalable, but that's not now, because we are not even in a situation that we have the partners to handle this problem. So we were solving a problem that we actually didn't really have. We would potentially have that in the future, but it was not creating value. We could have the best queuing system, but we would only onboard 2 new partners per sprint, and that wouldn't make any problem in performance. So we changed and we challenged. But in this case, I had the support from my director, and I had the advantage of being new in a company. I have a fresh perspective, and I asked the stupid questions nobody was asking, because I didn't understand how that contributed to creating value. But just this question opened for discussion and let us pivot. We pivot our direction, and it was fine. And sometimes you just drop. And being transparent, I worked there for 1.5 years, and when I left, we didn't implement any RabbitMQ. We didn't have this kind of trouble, and we could grow. We scaled quite significantly, but it is about having a conversation with management, Because when I see like senior management defining something and then the team has to execute, that hurts the relationship, because then it's like a service provider relationship. And what we try to encourage is a dialogue. The product team brings like the expertise to make things happen, and management should point where to get, and then together we figure that out. And sometimes we just need to write the right questions to open for a conversation, and then we can move from output to outcome, and the output will be figured out by the team how to be created. Anything anyone would like to add here? Otherwise we can move. I see a question here actually from Varun. If you, Alex, could summarize your 3 points from the previous one.
Yeah. Are you talking about the how do you quantitatively re-summarize? Oh man, what? I'm sorry. Could you refresh my do you know what was being talked about, the criteria? Oh, for team effectiveness. Is that?
Yep.
Okay. Team effectiveness, like my definition of team effectiveness, or the one that we're kind of like honing in on, is essentially team health. So, is the work that you're doing life-giving? Like, is the team doing well? Like, are you delivering at a sustainable pace? Not only do I think that's important from like a human standpoint, like we as human beings should be like kind to each other. It's also a leading indicator for product health. If your team is burning out, your product is probably going in a bad direction, or trending in the wrong direction. The next one is the flow of work. If you've ever, like, the project to product book is like the flow metrics and things along those lines. So how like when you're thinking about the entire value stream from idea to actually getting into customers' hands, like how quickly are we getting things done, and how much work is actually happening, and how often is work just sitting there not being touched by people? Do we have a whole lot of things that are sitting waiting to be released for weeks or months at a time? Like, those are the sorts of questions to be thinking of from a team effectiveness standpoint. And then the third is impact. So are we actually having the desired impact? So all of the things that we deliver, all the scope that we deliver, all the outputs that we deliver are intended to have some sort of impact usually. And like, is it having that desired impact? There was another question here, like, how do you actually measure the impact, or like quantitatively measure the value being delivered? The short answer is it completely depends on your context. There's not like one way to measure the value. So if you're delivering an HR solution, like the value might be like how the HR department people are able to like answer questions, like how quickly are they able to resolve questions. If you're delivering, a shopping app, and it's like how easily can I add and check out, items and check out. Like, I mean, there's not like a one-to-one thing, but like you as a team should understand what value you're providing, and if you're actually moving those metrics in the right direction. And some of the other values and principles in the Agile Product Manifesto speak to that, but it's extremely contextual, what that value is and how you measure it.
Cool.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's always a challenge measuring the value. And just one hint, what I learned is just ensure you identify the metrics you can measure as fast as possible, because sometimes you go to laggard metrics, like just take one here, revenue, conversion rate. This is too late. You realize you have a problem once it's too late. And the leading one, what are the steps that will help you to get to the ultimate result you want? And then start measuring that step by step. That will help you make decisions and adapt faster.
Yeah, I think this was popularized by Amazon, but the input and output metric framework, I used to call them like leading and lagging indicators, but there's an entire like framework for thinking about like normally what the business is wanting and what you're trying to do as a team. There are output metrics that are actually really lagging and hard to measure, and then there's input metrics that correlate to those. And so if we measure these things that are easy, like quicker measures, and we believe are correlated to the output measures, then we measure to these. And so like if you're just looking for like articles or like literature, input and output metrics are a good thing to like do some research in.
Yeah, and the output metrics are the ones we have no control whatsoever. We may influence. Think of the stock market. You cannot define what's going to happen there. It's impossible. Revenue, you cannot define. It's on the customer to decide if the revenue is gonna, if you will buy or not. But you can influence input metrics. You can define your product selection, availability, whatever you can influence is input. And that is where your attention could go and help you. Now we come to another principle. This one's quite strong.
Yeah, but this is one of my favorites. I really like it, and I really want to say thank you to Sven. It's my former managing director, who I worked with 4 years ago, and so embrace uncertainty. Be bold to ask for forgiveness instead of permission. This is also something I'm currently saying to my colleagues, to my product managers here at my company, that we need to be bold and just do things, try out, and if something goes wrong or does not bring the expected result, then just, okay, it's how it is, sorry, and repeat it again. So I met Sven. Sven and we had a really good professional relationship because while challenging me in internal meetings with their other participants were also there. So he really challenged me really hard. In our one-on-one talks, he always said and encouraged me to make decisions and take action. It was really funny to see. And he always backed me and never blamed me even for kind of wrong decisions or actions. So let me give you an example, and I will explain why I think it's that important to have a really good relationship with your boss and to have a common understanding of decision making and taking action. So one example is I was working for a young family shop where also David worked for, so we met there, and I was responsible for customer relationship management system. And it was a time, 2017, where browser push technology came. It was really fresh, where the browsers could push messages to the clients. And I wanted to experiment on this. And I just organized me a Google Tag Manager credentials, give me, the developers grant me the access, I know how to use it. And I got the access to production where we had thousands of users at the same time. So it was really tough. And I did some testings there. And I did testings just on production. And there have been also situations where I made some push notifications or some pop-ups to let users subscribe to the push notifications. And for this use cases, every time I did not think until the end of the user flow. And it resulted that business departments approached me and said, "Oh, you're harming the user flow. My business metrics are fucking up. And what are you doing?" So I put the risk very low because I maybe put it for 1% of our customers. So it was not the problem at all. But I had situations where business stakeholders and also users were confused and conversion rates dropped a little bit, right? And we also did a little bit less revenue. And they approached me because it were not my business metrics. It were business metrics of other people who I did not ask for permission to do something there. I just did. And yeah, sure, I learned from this. I learned a lot of the business about the push notifications, of the user flows and so on. And from the product development point of view, it was really great because I could learn, I could adapt. And I just needed to say sorry to the business stakeholders and to continue, and nothing bad happened in the end. In the end, we didn't really go for business for browser push and final integration. So we did not roll out it for all people. So I was experimenting, and this situation where I was just doing, and Sven, my boss, encouraged me to do and backed me. This gave me the self-confidence, and I recognize that my job in product development is to create something new or change existing things. It's kind of obvious, but maybe not. Maybe we don't think about it every day. So we developed something new, what is not here today. So it brings uncertainty by definition of our job, and it's part of our job description. And we just need to face it, and we need to recognize it. So we are not executors of a given plan. We are here to create and to find a path to the goal. And I think you need, so every product guy need a good relationship with the same understanding of decision-making and failure culture with his boss. Otherwise, it will not work. It will not bring the desired impact. It's my belief. And I'm really happy that in my company, our new managing director, Klaus, we have also the same understanding of decision-making like I had with Sven at Limango. So, and I just wish you all the same, that you have a good relationship and same understanding of taking action and make decisions, and just embrace the uncertainty.
Cool.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's a great one. And I think like many times people are afraid of making these tough decisions because it will end up like you said. Some people will question you, some people will be annoyed by this. And I think if you're not having this situation, it means you are locked in the comfort zone. And that's not the place where you can create value. Sometimes you just need to step outside, and yeah, you need to step into some people's toes, and it's fine. It's fine. And that is about embracing uncertainty, but that creates learning. And the relationship is it's hard. It's not a given. You need to build that, and it takes time. But actions and results, they talk louder than just trying to convince your boss or so or whatever. Because if you ask, you always have 50% of chance of no, and then you need to explain. And then where does the conversation go? To something abstract. You just waste time.
Yeah, I think that it was this next slide is mine, but just to that last point, I think like Alexi just said something there that just clicked for me around it. You know, what product, what we're doing with these with product deliveries, we're introducing change, and people always like it. It's always going to be uncomfortable. There's always going to be unknowns, like when introducing change, and so trying to understand all the variables before you make a move is that you get into analysis paralysis. So like having a balance there between, you know, measured risk is the way to actually like innovate and get better over time. But love that. So saying no unlocks focus to deliver valuable solutions. I love this principle because it's fractal in nature, meaning it applies to me as a person. It applies to the team that I work with, and it applies to my department. It applies to like my company as a whole. So like me as a me individually, like I at the beginning of the week on Mondays, I start my work week on Mondays. I have a Trello board with the things that I'm going to focus on for that week. I've moved the stuff from that I have in my possible to work on into like what I'm going to be working on, and everything else I'm saying no to. Like if I don't create focus on the things that I need to have done, it will become a hindrance, and I'll get nothing done. Like I need to have that focus personally. As a team, we have one of the other things that I'm working on is a product framework, and we're iterating on the product framework and improving upon it. And there's some interest within the organization. We're working in a specific area of the company, and we're iterating on it. We're proving value and things along those lines. And we have another area that's interested in adopting this as well. And I actually have to say no to that right now, because if we focus on that, by shifting our focus to that, we would be adding risk to the existing work that we're doing. So saying no is a way to actually improve the chances of success and really help drive the deliverable and drive the outcomes that you're trying to get within it. So at a team level, I think like I've heard it said at Atlassian, like, saying no is like one of the big parts of being a product manager, is just having that willingness to do that. And I see somebody saying like it's one of the most important skills for a PM. Like totally agree. is also super uncomfortable because I'm more of like I like to say yes to people. Like, it's like somebody asks you for a favor or something, like, oh yeah, sure, I can take care of that. I'll help you move, whatever that is. Like the it's not instinctual for me to say no. And so like a lot for personally for me, like what I have to say is I instead of trying to come up with a yes or no in the moment, sometimes it's let me think about that, or like kind of delaying the decision so that I can get like internalize it a little bit, because saying no is like does not come naturally to some, not to me for sure. And then I talked about this being a fractal thing, like individually, team, and like company wide. This principle also aligns really well with the hedgehog concept that Jim Collins has in the Good to Great book. So this idea that if by introducing focus on a specific goal, that unlocks value. That actually provides the value. And so I just this principle just resonates with me on so many levels, because it's just so applicable in so many areas of life, and how naturally I'll move away from this principle if left to my own devices.
Yeah, and this one is one of my favorites also, and I need to be very transparent here. I am a no person. I generally try to say no 3 times to everything and so on. And I read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, and one of the things he says is like, every yes you say, it's a responsibility, and every no is a decision. That resonated so much with me, and then I became even a more no person. But a lot of people start getting annoyed to that. My strategy was simple: say no 3 times. If the person comes the 4th time, then it's important, then I will listen, because I was just saying no because I wanted to focus exactly on what we agreed upon. But now I learned a different trick that helps you, because saying no, as Alex said, it's hard. It's not natural. You want to engage with people, and saying no, it will lead to sometimes weird conversations. You don't want to have that. But maybe you can find the right questions to ask and help the person say no to the request. And that's what I learned. Help stakeholders say no to themselves. Then they will commit, because then they are saying no. It's not you who are saying no. So it's a question you ask. They say, I wanted this next sprint and it needs to be delivered. Say, sure. What do we need to drop? Would you support me going and telling everyone else that we won't deliver these things? Could you help me on that? What is the expected outcome? Which problem are you solving? And then you start asking questions, trying to understand. It's not like being sarcastic or anything, with genuine interest and understanding. Then you see many requests will just drop. And by dropping it, they will not even go to your backlog, because stakeholders will realize, oh, not ready, I need more. So one of the tricks is help people say no to themselves.
Yeah, and David, could you maybe show the comment of Haley? It's not a question, sure. It's the last one. So she said, yeah, in my opinion, this is one of the most important skills for a PM. And yet, true, it's the case. And maybe you could show the comment or the question of Franklin. It's a little bit, yeah, this one. And I just want to connect here something. What is the best way to stay engaged with what end users are doing and saying about your platform? Is going to X number of customers calls per week a good strategy? Yeah, it's not a bad strategy. It depends on your situation. What I want to connect here is that to let your business stakeholders come to the conclusion that their request maybe it's not the most important for the business at the given time. Customer feedback is definitely a good tool. So to make customer feedback transparent, doesn't matter if you call them or if you make an NPS or CSAT or something. There are a lot of tools out there to use, but make customer voice transparent will also help you to not to argue with business stakeholders, but just to let them learn from the customers that their request of the business stakeholders is maybe not the most valuable. It's maybe also here help what could help you. And Haley said it's the saying no is one of the most important skills for a PM, and I say it's true. And I want to add, this one is really hard, and I would say some times ago, I used to be pretty good at it, to say no and to convince customers to follow to focus on something. But now in my organization, we have many goals and projects we simultaneously work on. This is currently the case, and this principle was one, or the main one, where I needed kind of 1 month after we finished with the Agile Product Manifesto to reflect on and to recognize, oh, damn, there's a problem. I'm not doing my job that well anymore in this particular principle as I used to be earlier. So I don't want to showcase where focusing lead to success. I think it's obvious, and Alex shared one. I want to share our current situation where we are lack of focus. Yeah. So what we do now, we create output, and this output is also great. So it has some worth. It's valuable. And every week we have many smaller improvements, and every month we have some bigger improvements. And we change a lot of things that we create also value, and it's positive, so it's not bad. But now it's a longer period for now. We don't create really something outstanding or a moonshot, because we are lacking focus. What we do now, we optimize on existing business values, and it's good. But it's our output, and we don't create a completely new value stream as an outcome. Maybe the discussion of output and outcome, and this one, the saying no, yes, it's a really important skill a PM should have, and I just want to share that I'm totally with it. I say yes, true, and I used to be good at it, but now I need to recognize that I need to improve on it, and just wanna invite you also to reflect on the principles and in your situation now. Yeah.
Thanks, Alexei. And I think this is super connected to our last part here, because to benefit from the manifesto, step back from your work, reflect on your scenario, and share your thoughts with people you work with. And the point is, we shared here today a couple of values and principles that we believe to help product teams and all the other teams as well. But the truth is, at some point in time, we will slide on something. You put your attention on, for example, I want to improve how I say no. That's it. We're going to improve this. We are saying no more often and so on. But then maybe you forgot to keep your backlog lean. And now your backlog items are not aging like milk anymore. They're aging like wine. You leave them in the backlog for ages, and you realize, oh, I forgot to do this. Oh, I need to change that. Or, for example, you started developing based on opinions instead of small step collecting evidence and making more investment and focusing on innovation. So at some point in time, you will put your attention, you improve something, but then another slide. Don't take hard on yourself. It's a journey. It's step by step and improve. The most important is to have the humility of stepping back, looking at the principles and say, maybe we have a chance of doing something different here. Maybe we have a chance of delivering value sooner. And that is all we want to achieve with this manifesto. And we are not claiming the manifesto is perfect. What we are saying is we craft it based on our experience, and all the other co-authors, in total we are 10, all of us have suffered a lot, and then we put together what has helped us in our journey. And that is why we believe this can help more people as well. And I have been writing for 2 years now and talking to many people. But just step back, reflect, and share your thoughts with more people. Go for a dialogue. And then maybe you can change something and start delivering value sooner. Yeah. And just to share with you, today we shared some stories here about some principles and values. We will have more sessions like that. And we want to bring more stories and help you use the Agile Product Manifesto. We made this available for the community, and we want to learn from you. What's your experience with it? What has helped you? And maybe what didn't help and why? But we want to learn from experience and from evidence. What you tried and what that made with you. So I hope this really helps you, and you can connect to us, LinkedIn or whatever network you find us. Just connect, and we can exchange and help each other.
I'd just like to add, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for the questions. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. And important to say, if you don't know the link, here it is, agileproductmanifesto.com. You find there and connect to us and let's exchange. We are over time now, but I would say if you have one or another question, we maybe could pick here. I don't see any unanswered question. But it was a pleasure, and thanks a lot, Alex and Alexei, to join here. It's super cool in different place in the world. It's, yeah, what made it possible here in the US. Where are you now, Alexei?
I'm here near Munich, so it's in Germany.
Hey, but we are close.
Yeah, we are close.
Yeah, super cool. All right, then we wrap up here the call. Thanks everyone, and wait for more. We will share.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you then.